questions tonight about an Army combat brigade being trained to deal with civil disturbances in the United States. The Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 generally prohibits federal uniformed services from carrying out domestic law enforcement duties, except in cases expressly authorized by the Constitution or an act of Congress. Critics say the brigade's training goes against one of the founding principles of our country, separation of military and civilian government. Luis Schiavone has our report.
They've spent 30 months on the streets of Baghdad. Now the 1st Brigade Combat Team of the Army's 3rd Infantry Division is back in the USA. The Army Times reporting, quote, they may be called upon to help with civil unrest and crowd control or to deal with potentially horrific scenarios, end quote. The question arises, why? And isn't that what the National Guard does?
Infantry Brigade is designed to engage an enemy with maximum effective force and destroy it. That's not the sort of thing anybody wants to see in the streets of the United States.
Almost 5,000 strong, the brigade is based at Fort Stewart, Georgia, under, quote, the primary purpose of this force is to provide help to people in need in the aftermath of a WMD-like event in the homeland, so that were they called to support civil authority, those governors or local state jurisdictions that might need our help, that they would be responsive and capable in the aftermath of an event like this, end quote. On Capitol Hill, questions about how the Pentagon determined that a thinly stretched military with 2 conflicts underway could spare these troops.
That's a misuse of assets. Those assets can be deployed, I think, more efficiently somewhere else when you have the Guard that you can call up on a moment's notice.
Historically, the posting is unusual. In modern history, Army troops have been used at extraordinary junctures. Under the first President Bush to contain the 1992 riots in Los Angeles, under President Lyndon Johnson in response to Detroit's 1967 riots, and in the grips of a depression by President Herbert Hoover to contain Army veterans demanding their bonuses. All actions, says historian Robert Dallek, undertaken by
unpopular presidents on edge about their capacity to lead, to vote public support for whatever it is they think needs to be done.
Lisa, the Army Times journalist tells us that the story has generated intense public interest, and 4 weeks into a flurry of questions about the report, the Army finally contacted her, and they requested that she publish a clarification that containing domestic civil unrest was not part of the 1st Brigade mission.
Luis Schiavone, thank you very much for that report. The American Civil Liberties Union is demanding information on the Army Brigade's deployment. It claims, quote, this deployment jeopardizes the long-standing separation between civilian and military government.